Stuff I found interesting.
Alright, so this one comes out of left field a little bit, so you're going to have to bear with me. I promise you it's a good one. I watched a short film. It's about an 18-minute film called La Reina, done by an Argentinian director, and it follows the story of an 11-year-old kid in Argentina who won a beauty pageant and then kind of was put into one of the major parades in Buenos Aires, right? So it's a short film looking at how the adults around this 11-year-old girl kind of use her as a prop as this beauty pageant winner, and she actually doesn't want to be there. Yeah. So for me, like, beauty pageants, I really hate them. I really don't think they're good for society. I really have like real problems with people putting these girls in crazy amounts of makeup and dresses and putting them on stage and forcing them to look a certain way, and it kind of promotes the wrong ideals, I think, for women worldwide. And so to see this kind of thing at an 11-year-old level, what the film does is it shows that she doesn't want to be there. And she doesn't want to be put through all of this, and she's not happy at all. And what the director does really, really well is that to contrast what the adults want from her and what she wants, they show her face the entire 18 minutes, but she doesn't say barely anything, right? All the audio is the adults around her talking about why this is important, why she must wear this crown that she wears, why she must do this, why she needs all the hairspray, etc., etc., etc. And it becomes very clear from watching it that her facial expressions show she's a prisoner inside of this, her family and friends, right? And her family and friends around her are using her as a prop. I don't know if it's to make money or just to kind of like boast about her or whatever the story is. So it's a really fascinating short film that I really enjoyed, and I wanted to share with everybody just to show how you can build empathy with no like directorial commentary. So the director or the narrator doesn't say anything. He just lets you watch this, and he lets you draw your own interpretations from what you're seeing and lets the story speak for itself. In a world where a lot of documentaries are very much, I'm going to tell you what's right, and I'm going to tell you this and this and this, and like it feels a little bit on the nose, this is not that at all. He literally just puts the footage in front of you and says, listen, make of this what you will. And I found that a very like fascinating way of directing a film. So what do you think, Jay? Did you have a chance to watch it at all?
So I saw the link pop up on our sort of shared document, and I had it's about 18 minutes long, I think. I had the time, so watched through it, and it is absolutely emotive, I'd say is the word to use. It definitely builds empathy from the start to the end. And yeah, just in terms of, as you say, that contrast between the silence, but a lot of sort of, visual expression from her face, and, as you say, basically the expectations of her family. And essentially, it's this short film has won a lot of accolades. It, I think, was released in 2013. I mean, it's kind of come out in first prize in Madrid, Freiburg, quite a few film festivals, and I definitely think it's worth it. I definitely think it's worth the watch as well. And as you say, sort of the wider discussion of is this something you want to be doing, or are you kind of a prisoner rather at somebody else's will? So yeah, I think it's definitely a worthwhile watch, and basically tugs on the heartstrings certainly towards the end. I think also fascinating for me was how, and I guess this is kind of a bigger question as well, how some of the questions she was asked, she was given the choice of answering the question, but when it came down to it, ultimately she had no call in the decision. For example, when basically this massive crown which weighs sort of 4 kgs was cast upon her head, this, as we said, sort of small 11-year-old girl who now has to walk around in this thing. It's heavy, it hurts, kind of the basically the measures they go to put this thing on in terms of putting numbing cream and sprays on this little girl's head. Essentially all of the questions in terms of how tight it should be. Her responses at the time, seemed genuine, but when it came down to it, her mother kind of just proceeded anyway. What were your thoughts on that? And do you think this is normal in society? Are we kind of being a bit too tough on kids, or is this kind of just an outright case?
Yeah, I think for me it kind of pulled out the parallel of what we call the tiger moms in Asia. So we've seen a similar type story with parents in Asia who are so desperate for their kids to succeed that they put them through crazy amounts of tutoring and extra work, and they don't really have a childhood. Right from like say age 9 or 10, they have to be like doing maths homework all the time and computer science, and they come out with amazing results at the end of the day. But in all the interviews with them, you find out that they actually weren't happy during that period. And so that's kind of the parallel that I drew. And so I think I do see it a lot in the world. And beyond just kids and adults, it also comes down to the people that affect us, right? So the metaphor that I pulled out was that there are people around me who have certain ideas of what my life should look like. Yeah. And I often find myself being a prisoner of their expectations or prisoner of their ideas, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what really spoke to me. Like, I think the kids is an obvious one. Like, try and let your kid have a happy childhood and actually listen to them and treat them with dignity and respect. But when it comes to adults, we often do the same thing. We put ourselves in the same prisons, and we care too much about what our parents think of us, what our friends think of us, what our partner thinks of us, and not enough about what actually makes us happy. And so I'm hoping that this film pulls that out of people and kind of brings the conversation to, you need to do what makes you happy and be able to stand up and accept the fact that not everyone's going to agree with that, and they're going to try and force their agenda on you. They're going to try and force what they want for your life onto you. And it's up to each of us to kind of stand up and say, listen, I love you, I respect you, I care for you, but this is my life, right? And I'm going to do what I want to do. And that kind of courage is very rare in the society because we care so much about what other people think about us.
Completely agree. It's a great dialogue to have been opened up by really thought-provoking, really powerful film, and that is the point of film, I think. So thanks for looking at this one and bringing it up to me. So yeah, just for anyone who wants to see it, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this right, but it's called La Reina, in brackets The Queen, and you can find it on Vimeo. I'm sure you'll find it if you kind of just Google it. So definitely worth the watch.